All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into a really fascinating piece of ancient wisdom, Proverbs chapter 5. We're going to break it down and see what it has to say about human nature, temptation, and the huge difference between a life of ruin and a life of, well, fulfillment. So let's get into it. And boom, right out of the gate, the text hits you with this powerful contrast. This really sets the stage for our whole explainer. The idea that a destructive choice can look incredibly appealing at first. What starts out smooth and easy ends up being corrosive and bitter. That's the core tension we're going to unpack today. So first up, let's talk about what the text calls the sweet, sharp danger. Now, to make this warning feel really personal and urgent, the writer actually personifies folly. They give it a voice, a form, turning this abstract idea of a bad decision into something that feels like a real, tangible threat you could actually meet. And you can see this deception laid out with some pretty intense imagery. I mean, look at the promise. Lips drip honey, speech smoother than oil. It sounds persuasive, easy to hear, right? But then you see the reality. And it is the complete opposite. It's bitter as gall and sharp as a double-edged sword. You know, something that's going to cut you no matter which way you handle it. And here's the kicker. It's not just that this path is dangerous. It's that it's completely lost. Her paths wander aimlessly. This is such a brilliant way to put it. It shows that folly isn't some master plan of evil. No, it's just confusion. And, maybe most importantly, a total lack of self-awareness. The person on this path doesn't even realize they're going in circles. The text does not pull any punches about where all this aimless wandering leads. There's zero ambiguity here. Her feet go down to death. Her steps lead straight to the grave. The warning is just so stark. This path of not paying attention, of making these unexamined choices, it has a final and fatal destination. Okay, so let's move on and see how this all builds. We've seen the nature of the danger, right? But now let's look at the high price of folly. See, the source doesn't just warn you. It's like it hands you a detailed invoice of everything you're about to lose. And the cost? It's total. We're not just talking about one area of your life being at risk. The text describes a complete and total collapse. Your honor, your dignity, gone. Your wealth is feasted on by strangers. And the work of your entire life, it ends up making someone else rich. The way it's portrayed, it's a catastrophic all-in kind of loss. The progression it lays out is just a classic downward spiral. It starts with losing your reputation, your honor. Then your money gets eaten up by others. After that, your physical health goes. Your flesh and body are spent. And the final stop on this path to ruin, a life of deep, inescapable regret. And this is the voice of that regret. This quote is the sound of someone at the end of the line, looking back and just groaning. It's that awful moment of clarity where they finally realize all the good advice they rejected. How I hated discipline. It's a really powerful, self-aware cry of anguish. So, the crucial point here is that the text frames regret as a kind of wisdom that just shows up too late. The person finally gets what their teachers were trying to tell them, but only after it's impossible to fix anything. It's a really tragic realization. But the chapter doesn't just leave us in despair. It makes a hard pivot, and so are we, to our next section, A Fountain of Your Own. After laying out the path of destruction in painful detail, the text presents a clear, life-giving alternative that's all about contentment and joy. So, the central metaphor for this better path is to drink water from your own cistern. Now, what on earth does that mean? Well, a cistern is basically a private well. It's a water source that belongs to you. In this context, it becomes this powerful image for finding satisfaction and real joy within your own committed relationship. And the metaphor really comes to life with this sharp contrast. On one hand, you can let your water source, your life, your energy, just overflow into the public streets, shared with everyone, really belonging to no one. The other option is to cultivate your own well, a private and blessed fountain that is yours and yours alone. It's a pretty clear choice between chaos and contentment. So how do you do that? How do you cultivate that private well? The text gives us really direct counsel.
First, let your fountain be blessed, meaning you have to actively protect and value your relationship. Second, rejoice in the wife of your youth. Find your joy right there. And finally, be ever intoxicated with her love. It's a call to a passionate, focused kind of devotion.
All right, let's get to our final section, the final accounting. We've seen the two paths, the warning and the alternative, but why? What's the ultimate reason behind all this advice? The text finishes by giving us the fundamental why for choosing wisdom over folly. And here it is. The foundational idea is that nothing is actually done in secret. For your ways are in full view of the Lord, and He examines all your paths. This idea of an ultimate accountability is presented as the primary reason to get it right. Your choices matter because they are seen and they are weighed.
And the mechanics of this final accounting are laid out as a really clear chain of cause and effect. What's interesting is it's not some outside force causing the ruin. It says a person's own evil deeds are what ensnare them. The cords of their sin are what hold them fast. The downfall is presented as a direct, natural consequence of your own choices.
And it all comes down to this one last crucial term, great folly. You got to understand, the text isn't talking about just making a simple mistake here. Great folly is a chosen path. It's a road you get led astray on because you have actively rejected discipline and you've ignored correction. It is, at the end of the day, self-destruction.
So that brings us to our final thought. This ancient text gives us a really powerful anatomy of self-destruction, warning against what it calls great folly. And that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about. In our world today, with all of our new temptations and distractions, what does that same great folly look like now?